Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Ask the Accountant, your weekly live episode of number 93. Aaron, we are closing in on 100. Your time away, you've not planned that so you're away for the 100th show, have you?
That is a very good point. We might need to discuss that.
You need to do some maths there and just double check, because that's getting pretty close. Oh, well, never mind. Good morning. Welcome. Sorry, we're a couple of minutes late, guys. We were just too busy chatting as per usual. But thank you to Cheryl for saying good morning in the comments. That came through and prompted us, we should be live. So good morning, as always, to our community. So good morning to Cheryl, Natasha, Kirsty, Dave, Tim. Good to see you all joining us, as always. So this is our usual spot where we sit around the microphones on a Monday morning and discuss all things, both accounting software, but also tech news. And we'll be going into some tech news as well today. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Aaron Patrick. Aaron, how are you? How's your week been?
Yeah, very good. Very busy. Was in London for 2 days again. So yeah, it was very much trying to keep on top of everything as best we can. But I've got quite a week in terms of being out and about. So hopefully, fingers crossed, get on top of the task. Make sure that we're into a good place. What about you, Jan? How's Bank Holiday Monday going for you in Scotland?
It's one of those weird ones. It's a bit loosey-goosey. Not everyone follows it. In fact, most people don't follow it. In August, no one shuts down in Edinburgh because it's fringe. Like,
of course,
Edinburgh Waverley train station have got a 60% increase in traffic at the moment. I popped into Edinburgh yesterday lunchtime-ish, and it was horrific. Like, the crowds are phenomenal. So yeah, Edinburgh Fringe is extremely busy here, so no one's closing for a bank holiday, whether it's a UK-wide or just a Scottish one at the moment.
Do you think they bring that bank holiday in for the Fringe? Is it like encouraging people to take that week at that, because it's the first weekend of the Fringe, right?
Yeah, in Scotland we are. When they created bank holidays in Scotland, they were less worried about religious holidays. More like, where do we need the extra child labour in the fields for harvest and sowing potatoes and stuff like that? So, like, when you look at most of our bank holidays, they are in and around the need for labour in the fields and stuff like that. As well, same principle with school holidays. So we get a very short Easter and then we have a very long half term because we need them in the fields traditionally. But also that. So in Scotland, like, we've got our Scottish bank holidays, we've got the British bank holidays, but then you've got it's Trade Week in Edinburgh, which is traditionally the week all the trades take off, and then the following week it's Trades Week in Glasgow, which is the week so that they don't overwhelm the seaside resorts and stuff. So very, very messy up here for bank holidays and who's closed and who's open and stuff. So I just tend to go on the assumption it's all open and we'll just get on with it. Basically, but yeah, it's that'll be a fun day today. But I'm working, carrying on. Got lots of meetings and stuff coming up this week. Engager is keeping me very busy, so lots of exciting pots on the boil there and things to look out for. So that's all good. Good morning to Paul, Marcus, and Clive. Clive, it sounds like it might be a bank holiday in Ireland as well. So
really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah. Right. Aaron, where do we start? Last week was a fairly, in some regards, quite a quiet week.
Yeah.
But in other regards, some important things to go through. So let's chat Free Agent first. So last week, Free Agent put an announcement out about their new updates. I'm so pleased they've announced this one because this is actually what I got told about when I went to visit Free Agent the other month at their head office, and I wasn't allowed to say anything. And it's like, this is what everyone should be doing. Why is no one else doing this? So Free Agent have launched a new feature in their accountants and bookkeepers dashboard, where you can reauthorize every single one of your clients' bank feeds when they expire every 90 days in bulk. So you go into a new dashboard page, it lists all your clients and which ones are expired. You select them all, reauthorize, and it reauthorizes them all in one big go. Like, could you imagine if you could do that in other softwares like QuickBooks or Xero? How much time would that save you? Right.
That's brilliant, isn't it? And I remember QuickBooks putting a big push around there. Was it batch reminder or something like that? They're on the QuickBooks accountants dashboard. You had that opportunity to go in, see who's not connected, because the data's there, right? Like it's pulling through that data for us on that main screen, tell us how many transactions we still do or which ones are not connected. And you had that opportunity to send a mass, I'll go and tell people that they need to reconnect, which is like great, but this is the proper way of doing it, right? Like this is the way where we go, you know what, let's give a tool to accountants that's going to be really, really useful to them. Fair play. I mean, this, it almost, like you said, like it almost seems weird how they got there first, and you know what I mean, like they've somehow managed to beat the Goliaths of the world and come in with a solution that arguably should be already available to everyone, right? It's brilliant. Have you been able to use it yet?
Yeah, and it's fantastic. So yeah, really quick and easy. I would argue that this is, and we'll talk about this article later about technologies not delivering for accountants, which was on Accounting Web. I would say this is a prime example, right, of what, instead of us all getting like QuickBooks and Xero and Sage are all distracted with AI and what it can and can't do at the moment. And that seems to be what they're focusing all their time on. Like QuickBooks making 1,800 people redundant and replacing those roles in the AI world. Like, actually, the AI is not the be all and end all. Actually, there's a lot of really good life improvements that they could deliver for accountants and bookkeepers at a fairly basic level if we took the time to focus on them. And that's what Free Agent have done here. Free Agent have actively sat there and listened to where's everyone struggling, what frustrations have you got? And I can imagine other FMS solutions going, oh, that's a little niggle, that's my, like, trying to reconnect banks, that's minor, like, we've already got this information telling you where to do it. Whereas Free Agent have actually sat there listening and gone, cool, we can fix that.
That's a pain point.
That's a pain point. It's not going to take us 12 years to build that. We can fix that and we can roll it out whilst everyone else is faffing about with AI, which even if they roll out today, what quality of improvements can AI bring to us while they're still building and still learning and still analyzing data? So yeah, huge hats off to Free Agent for that release. It sounds daft, it sounds tiny, but you know what? Quality of life improvement there, done. I think I've got about 30 clients on Free Agent. So if I can go in and just go, bulk reauthorize those in one click, that's what, half an hour of my time saved clicking in and out of, if I was using QuickBooks or Xero, I'd have to click into each one of those clients' accounts, go find it, reauthorize it, and come back out. Like half an hour for about 30, that's probably an hour or so of work saved there. So yeah, that's a genuine pain point solved and a genuine efficiency created for us. So that's fantastic.
I don't think we celebrated it enough, did we, when reauthorization came in? Like that was such the fact that accountants could do it, because I don't think there wasn't enough chatter at the time when they talked about reauthorization every 90 days. The fact that accountants can go in and do it, I think that is huge. And it almost feels weird that it wasn't chatted about enough at the time, because that was the biggest pain point, right? Like every 3 months having to go to your client, look, I know I've asked you again, but can you go and connect your bank, blah, blah, blah. You know, open banking have failed so far to deliver on giving us the ability to bring statements, but at least authorization's been much better than it has been before, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And now with a mass tool like this, even better.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm like, if softwares need to keep focusing on these little wins, like, you know, like Engager, we're constantly delivering the little life improvements alongside big features. Like, whereas a lot of softwares just focus on the big features, and it's like, they're great, and big features is what sells the product. Big features is what gives your marketing department the ammunition they need. But actually, life improvements, little wins like the ability to bulk update your bank's reauthorizations, That's huge. And hopefully we'll see others follow that example and bring it in, because that'll save hours of time every month for everybody if everyone did that.
Good point here by Paul. Hopefully they can look at doing this for VAT and other MTD file in the future. It's such a mess at the moment. We had another example of a client who lost access to their MTD VAT portal. They've been back and forth. They've been on the call multiple times to HMRC at this point, and they're just frustrated. And the problem is, they at one point they're just blaming us. They're like, "Well, why don't you deal with this? Like, I pay you to do my VAT returns. Why can't you sort this bit for me? Because we can't. Like, we don't have any way of being able to do it until we're authorized, right?"
Yeah.
It's such a mess at the moment with the VAT, and I know that's not the software's fault, but there's got to be an easier way. That if the software out there can find us a way to get this pain point sorted of actually authorizing our clients, that's a proper way of just helping us, right?
The problem is it's always going to be reliant on the client to a certain degree, because HMRC. So even when we get to MTD ITSA and that agent authorization there, you think, oh well, that'd be so much quicker and easier to do it rather than with a code. Would do it the way VAT is done now, which is ultimately, if all your dominoes are lined up, MTD VAT is so much better than any other tax software. It's fantastic because you put the data online, it gives you a link, you send that link to your client, they log in and authorize you. You can be done in minutes. The problem is either you don't have the right data because the client's not got it, or the client's not got a government gateway, or they've got a government gateway and it's not linked, or they've got a government gateway and it's linked and they can't remember it, so they've created themselves a new government gateway, which you cannot then unlink the old VAT and put it to the... It's just a mess because it involves the client too often.
There should just be a way online for you just disconnect and start again. If they give us that option, fair enough. But it's not even that, right? It's a telephone call, then past security, and if they change their mobile number in the last year, they're screwed. It's
a house 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
They're screwed.
Exactly, and it just makes such a painful experience at the beginning. Like all you want to do is do your best for the client. Like we've done all the work. Like, you know, this particular client came to us because they're in a right mess and they've got loads of VAT returns that are technically wrong, and we fixed all of them, but we can't submit any of them because we can't get authorized. It's just a mess. Yeah,
and ultimately at the moment, HMRC are damaging our reputation with our clients because of their
100%.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, shall we move on to the next bit of news? Sage have put out an update for their annual price increases, which isn't unexpected. Like Sage always increase their prices in September, to be fair to Sage, and they always increase it across their whole portfolio of services. So Sage, auto entry, Go Proposal, all of that is going up, which not unexpected. This is the time of year they do it. I think the only backlash I saw really was people were upset by there was some upset with auto entry prices going up when there's been little to no development over the last few years. But the main one that I saw a lot of backlash in Facebook groups about was Go Proposal price increases, because in a lot of people's opinions, it's the weakest it's been as a software for a long time. It's not as reliable. And then on top of that, you're putting the price up. So I think that was, there was like 40 odd comments on one post in one of the groups where no one was overly happy about it all. Now, there were a few people on there that were saying, well, to be fair, Go Proposal never really put their prices up before Sage, so it's still well below inflation compared to where it was 5 years ago. But the problem is the product is not as good or as reliable as it used to be. So I think that's causing the resentment. But yeah, I mean, I didn't see anything obscene with any of those price increases. I mean, if you're delivering a reliable product, and they weren't big price increases, they were kind of in line with the rest of the market's increases over the last year or two. Did you see anything else, Aaron?
The only thing I saw was there was an amendment, wasn't it? So they sent out an email for auto entry, and then a few days later they had to amend it to say there. So that I've seen that going around doing the things of, oh, this is, you know, unacceptable, blah blah. But at the end of the day, it was a typo, wasn't it? I don't think there's any major thing. I must admit, I'm an auto entry user still. I've still got a couple of auto entry, but even I had to kind of double check and figure out exactly what these prices actually meant, because I still think bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, sapphire, really complicated solution, isn't it? Like, what does that mean? Like, what do I get? And I know it's all because it's credit based, and you then got to do your maths of how many credits you need and everything else. But yeah, it's good that there's like it's a different pricing point, and I like that. Right, they're trying to be a little bit different, and they've always had that, you know, credits scenario. But it is so much more confusing, isn't it, than just here it is, it's X per client, bob on. This is, well, my client uses this and they have this amount of credits, but then over average they have this amount of credits. So really I need to assign this. There's a whole calculation that needs to be done in the background just to figure out what am I silver, platinum, or bronze, or whatever it is, right? And I feel like that's just something that maybe they can clean that up a little bit somehow, because then I think the service is fine for the price point. I got no issues with the price going up on it. I think that's fine. Yeah, I know people are saying that there's been no major updates to it, but what else can they update at this point, right? Yeah, they've kind of given us auto entry as a product, right? It's given us everything it needs to get on and deliver a service for our client. They're still, are they the only one who does bank statements extract nowadays?
No, I think Dex still do bank statement extracts.
Do they? Do they?
Several years, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But that's one of those features that I feel like is, you know, such a necessity, right? Like, clients are still going to send you in PDFs or even paper bank statements, and just having that ability to be able to scan them in and do it there is actually, you know, for me is still a big use case for it. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I was looking at the price point going, I have no idea how much more this is going to be for me, because I have no idea what version of I'm on. And, you know, it wasn't for me to have gone through and figured it out. I'd have had to go and do a lot of digging, found my spreadsheet that tells me how many things I need and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that was my only criticism of it. But hey, it is what it is. That's the only product to say I'm using.
Yeah, and there are benefits to auto entry that others just don't do. So, like, because it's credit based, if you get too many credits built up that you've not used, you can ask them to pause the monthly subscription for a couple of months and just pay £1 a month, and that will then you can just run down the credits you've got built up. So if you've say you're paying for a lot of credits and then you don't use them all, you can just turn around and go, you know what, I'm just going to pause it this month. I'll pay £1 to pause it, and I'll burn through the credit back, the savings pot I've got of credits. So actually, like, no one else does that. That is a great way to do it.
Where was that nugget of information a year ago? Could have saved me thousands. No, not thousands, but
yeah, it's always been there.
That's it. I never even thought of it, because I just assume the credits expired like every other product out there where you don't use them.
They roll them on for a few months each, but if you're getting to the point where you're rolling over and actually you're building up quite a pot, you can just go, you know what, I'm not going to buy any more credits this month.
Yeah.
I'll pay £1 to pause it, and then I'll unpause it the next month once I've burnt through these credits that I've got in my pot. So yeah, it's so yes, it doesn't surprise me. Auto entry's fees are going up. Go proposal increasing the fees. I suppose it's that time of year, and it's just unfortunate that that's sat and collided with a time when there's a lack of customer satisfaction in the proposal products at the moment. Which, you know, there's been a lack of satisfaction growing for the last year, and I suppose it was always going to come to a point where we're going to have to put the price up at some point, in line with everyone else, all of our other Sage products going up. But yeah, it's going to have repercussions because people are already dissatisfied with the product. So we shall see.
Tinfoil hat moment here. And this is me speculating. I have no inside knowledge. And to be honest, this might be a conversation you can't even properly comment on. But at what point is Go Cardless going to potentially pivot and not just be a proposal software, but try and fill that gap?
Not Go Cardless.
Go Proposal, yeah. And fill that gap in the Sage ecosystem at the moment of a full-blown practice management solution. Because out of all of their things they've got, that's the one area they don't really have a full-blown. I know they've got kind of it's a Sage Accountant, isn't it, at the top? Natasha will tell us more, and Tim will tell us more, to be honest. But I know they have like a practice management-esque over the top, but it is very basic, right? It's not a proper onboard a client, all that sort of stuff, right? Yeah. If I was a Sage user at this moment, I would be imagining that'll be one of their next things on the roadmap at some point. Maybe it already is.
Our friend Chris Downing commenting on LinkedIn posts saying something's coming, keep an eye out, or if you know that. So they're definitely working on something.
And would you say that's Go Proposal, or would you say that's something different?
I would imagine it's probably more Sage Accountants, Sage Bookkeep, like that Sage product that they've got, which they launched a while ago, where it's, you know, you can keep all your clients in one place, you can link them all in. I think it will be that, which Go Proposal feeds into.
Interesting.
Being improved and brought in line with a practice management tool. That's my anticipation of it. When I look at their portfolio, when I look at all their options, I think that Sage Accountants section area that they launched a couple of years back, I think that was always intended to become a very powerful practice management tool with different bolt-on parts. So auto entries there, you've got Go Proposal there, you've got their proposal letters, documents and stuff, you've got their AML tool, like they've got all the components. It's the workflow bit they need to master now. And I think that's basically what Sage Accountants was built for, as a central place.
Makes sense.
It's certainly on my radar of that's what I would expect from them. When I look at the competition for Engager, is Sage is certainly working on something. We just don't quite know what that is and what it's going to look like. But yeah, they've got something.
It's going to be better than what Zero's got. That's not hard, right?
I mean, no comment. But yeah, we've got quite a lot of comments coming over this one, so let's just go through
Natasha
those.
was the first one, wasn't she?
So yeah, Natasha says auto entry's best part is the supplier statement reconciliation. Yeah, that's really powerful. And again, it's not something, I don't think supplier statement reconciliation is not something I've seen anyone else do very well. So
Dex just announced it, didn't they? That was their big push
Along
into having it all in one product. They were going to bring mileage and supply statements. So.
Paul says accounting auto entries bank statement processing has saved me so much time messing around with Adobe's subpar Excel extraction tool.
I gave up after the first attempt of that. It was just you might as well have typed it all in by the time you've messed around with the columns and all that sort of stuff. That's why auto entry just smashed it, right? Like every time. I've never found a statement they've not been able to extract as well, right? Like you throw it.
Yeah, I've never come across it.
Yeah, you might have to wait a bit longer for some of them, right? Some of them take that little bit longer to do. But yeah, most of the time, 100% of the time, success rate, they just figure it out, and one way or another, you can extract it, can't you? Yeah.
Kirsty loves auto entry and the 10% discount that ICB members get.
Blind. Why do ICB? What? Where's the rest of us getting discounts?
See this, and as you all know, I have a real issue with governing body people. Like, it shouldn't matter who your governing body is; everyone should be on the same pricing, in my opinion.
But that makes ICB way more attractive than any of the others.
I'm not sure it's worth that.
I'd trade mine in Artby at this point in time, but that's a different matter, I think.
That's because yours is still stuck in the 1980s. Tim says Go Proposal being terrible was the reason he ended up joining Engager. You're not alone, but ultimately, as the co-founder of Engager, I need people like Go Proposal to be around and challenging us. Otherwise, we don't. Like, where does inspiration start? Otherwise, if you've not got competition motivating you, then you end up with no developments and no advancements. I mean, look at the PM market in the last 5 years. Some fantastic tools, but as soon as the competition went away, development stopped. So, you know, as daft as this sounds, I want Go Proposal at its best, doing its best, because it drives it forwards for the users, and it drives us all forwards to make sure our users get the best experience and the latest insights and innovations. Kirsty says it's £2 to pause, and also remember you can go overdrawn on your credits if you have a big lump go through. So that's really helpful for the January for tax when you get a bulk of clients. If you go overdrawn and then you use some of your credits from the next month to clear that, that's absolutely fantastic. Good morning to Victoria. Welcome to the show.
We've got Ashley as well.
Good morning to Ashley Leeds. Thank you, Ashley, for last week's podcast. I thoroughly enjoyed that. Paul says it's become even more useful with QuickBooks Ledger. I can push clients to QuickBooks by setting them up on with paper records. Yep.
Yeah, I do that all the time. Just throwing them all in.
Mr. Chris I knew he'd be listening somewhere. Chris says, Aaron, you should watch the virtual Accountex last month. Okay, so there's obviously,
but I'll have to catch up on that one. Yeah. I must admit, the virtual Accountex completely passed me by this time.
It does every year, though.
Yeah,
we always realise it like last minute and go, oh crap.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because like the concept's absolutely brilliant, and it means that we can actually go into the weeds of the software, which is what I'm, definitely all into. But yeah, every year I miss it, and every year it's passes me by.
Maybe Caroline should get like a podcast to promote the virtual one as well as to do the main one. I mean, putting it out there. Good morning to Siddharth as well. Paul says, I think Sage has always wanted to be a one-stop shop for accounting practices. They all do. Like QuickBooks, Xero, Sage, they all want to be that one-stop shop.
And you can argue they are the one that's got there first, as in like they, from now, if you're going to be we've said it before, right? If you're going to be a brand new accountant, Sage is very, very attractive to you for just setting up and going off to the races, right?
Yeah, you've got all your products in one roof. It's very attractive these days.
Yeah. Is this Mr. Sage saying about promoting another solution?
Light year to auto entry, but we do use auto entry for the odd paper bank statement. Interesting. To be fair to Tim,
lemons and limes, though, isn't it? Oh, that's wrong analogy. Apples and pears.
Tim's got a big push in hospitality.
Yeah,
and Lightyear smash hospitality.
But Lightyear is a more quote unquote it's up there, right? It is designed to be. You pay a lot for it, but you get a lot.
And it's really, really focused and really good for very high volume of invoices and supplier statements. So like when I looked at Lightyear, it was like the primary use case for this would be hospitality, because it would just make life so much easier. I just don't have very many hospitality clients to need at that level, basically. Kirsty says auto entry to convert a PDF supplier statement from Travis Perkins or Enterprise, but can't reconcile as bills not sent through auto entry. As I think auto entry only looks within itself.
Yeah, and that is that is a pain point of it, isn't it? Because it doesn't have that two-way sync, does it? So
no, it doesn't.
It's certainly not
like Apron, which pushes and pulls the same information. So
exactly. So because you could have already had the bill or the payment already in QuickBooks or Xero, whatever, couldn't you? In your FMS solution and push it from there.
Yeah. And Cheryl says credits expire when they are 3 months old. They do, but I like the fact that they always use the oldest ones first. So it's never I've never felt like I'm using they don't make you use this month's credits and then last month's. They always kind of go, they're the oldest credits, we'll use them first. So yeah.
I mean, it's anywhere in life, isn't it? If your credits expire, that's a painful day. You do get very I certainly do. Like, if credits expire on anything, you could even be my McDonald's app or something, you know what I mean? Like, if it expires on there, I'm devastated. I'm in such a bad mood for that.
The Asda reward card. So your credits on there only last, I think, 6 months or something.
Yeah.
And you need to you should be turning them into vouchers to spend in the shop. But the hack is to move it into your Christmas pot, because then it lasts until Christmas. So what we do is we use the Asda rewards card constantly, and then at the start of every month it goes, X amount of money is going to expire if you don't use it this month. So we just transfer that amount of money into the Christmas pot. So, and it's saved until Christmas, which is great. But yeah, you don't want to be missing out on credits going old and stale. That's not good. And Natasha says auto entry statement reconciliation will only work if invoices are processed through auto entry, but has saved me hours. Yeah, I'm not sure why you would not put why would you use one tool for the statement and one tool for invoices? I would put them.
I guess it's because you could have manually put them in, right? Like potentially, or your clients manually put them in, or there's definitely workflows where statement.
You train your client to follow the workflow you want, and your workflow needs to be most efficient, which means auto entry gets it all. Like, yeah,
but you might be doing a cleanup for them or something, or it might be end of year, or that's where the use case of that supply statement is amazing, but because it doesn't have two-way, that's where it becomes a little bit of a pain point of frustration, right?
Yeah.
Go from that, and then I think we've got one more.
Yeah, so Adobe and AI co-pilots like Microsoft and Google is also doing this now, doing a great job at converting PDFs, summarizing documents. Wonder what Dex and AE has in the plan to grow further. So
good point.
Yeah,
I mean, to be fair though, it's same old, isn't it? Like one thing auto entry will have is that success rate. Again, I've never thrown a bank statement at it and it's not worked.
Yeah.
But I could use 100 other tools out there to get the same result. But I would be very surprised if anyone will get anywhere near that success rate, right? I mean, you can't be 100% anyway, but to get you've got to be 95, 98% to be comparable to, even if it's an almost free tool, you still need that success rate. Otherwise, your efficiencies are just thrown down the toilet, aren't they? So
yeah,
that's the difficulty.
You can't fault their extraction rate accuracy.
Yeah. And again, you have to wait. That I think the cost I don't mind. It's the time. It's the waiting, isn't it? And I know you can build that into your workflow and come back later. But that's, if they could improve anything, just that timing of it would be amazing. I think that's all that lets it down. Really, I think we've got an ad run to run, haven't we?
We have. So as always, this episode is sponsored by our friends over at Apron. And Apron do a fantastic receipt capture tool. They haven't got supplier statements or anything yet, but that is well underway. And they are working on it, so keep your eye out on this space. But yeah, Aaron, I'll leave you to run the advert.
I'm here with my friends over at Apron, our new sponsor, and we've got an amazing feature that just went live. It's called Capture, and this is going to revolutionize the way you get data from your client. Watch this. Get the receipt, take the photo, bish, bash, done. That's it. This is going to be dead quick, dead straightforward, dead simple. And more importantly, it's easy for your clients to use. Did I tell you got WhatsApp as well? What more do you want?
There we go. And that WhatsApp channel is so popular. It makes life so much easier for clients to be able to WhatsApp in when it's what they use day in, day out in their lives anyway. So yeah. Okay. Paul says we also use auto entry for processing supplier credits, but then generate the payment in QuickBooks. We're hoping to push that to Apron soon. Yeah, we'll come. In fact, let's jump onto this topic now. Actually, let's talk. So there was an article in Accounting Web last week, written by a gentleman over in Australia called "Technology Isn't Delivering for Accountants." And you know what? I don't know what it's like in Australia, but I would argue opposite to this. I think the Goliaths of the technology world, are they delivering for the accountants and bookkeepers out there? Probably not, actually, at the moment. I don't think their development maps are delivering for us. I think they're all too focused on the bigger problems like AI and stuff like that, which actually, like we've just were saying, like they're so distracted with this marketing term that actually they're not delivering life improvements like Free Agent have just done with their bank reauthorization. But I'm in and you're in the same kind of position, Aaron, really, but I'm in a privileged position with Engager in that I have a lot of close working relationships with a lot of softwares in this space. and their relationships with the smaller softwares, the Aprons, the free agents, those kind of softwares, and they are delivering for accountants and bookkeepers. And I know what's coming up in a lot of the cases. I'm not allowed to talk about it, but they will continue delivering for the next year or two without any hassle whatsoever. I think it's just the big names. Like, Auto Entry's not done anything overly new. Dex has only just made announcements to finally bring all their products into one place. I mean, duh. I mean, how long did it take for them to work that one out that it needed to be done? Like Xero, QuickBooks, apart from AI announcements, what have they actually really done? And they've not even delivered on AI yet. Like, it's not neither of them are beta testing in the UK. Sage have announced AI, and to be fair to Sage, have got betas out there, and it's in the wild, and it's good. But yeah, I don't think the bigger softwares are really delivering for us at this moment in time. I think it's the smaller softwares that have got the energy, the innovation, the flexibility to be innovative. I think corporate structures throttles innovation and development. But yeah, I would argue in the UK accounting and bookkeeping tech space, I would argue that softwares are delivering for us. Are the bigger boys? Probably not. But, the industry's always relied on the smaller softwares to deliver innovation, and the big boys swoop in and buy them up and plug them in, and that's it. They've then delivered their innovation.
Or Sherlock.
Yeah. I mean, what's your thoughts on this article? Technology is not delivering for accountants and bookkeepers.
It makes me laugh a little bit, because if you think about it, right? 5 years ago, you tried to start up an accounting firm. How much headache and pain points would you have gone through to do that? Basically, how many barriers of entry was going to be there to stop you from, setting up that accounting firm? Because, it was only 5 years, maybe a bit longer, but it wasn't that long ago where, realistically, you had to think about a IRIS license, to set up an accounting firm. You had to think of, all of these different must-have software solutions that cost an absolute arm and a leg, and became the barrier of entry from you setting up your little accountancy or bookkeeping firm. Right now, let's be honest, we have never been in a better position to set up we were just saying that before the ad break, right? Yeah. If you want to set up an accounting or bookkeeping practice now, you get one subscription with Sage, you're pretty much there. Yeah, you can literally set your whole firm up from there. Same can be said with QuickBooks. And if you really want to struggle through it, you could do the same with Xero, right? Like, there is opportunities there there is no barriers of entry anymore. We can set up an accounting firm better than ever before. And I get what we're saying in terms of those major investments, but if we look back only, what was it, a year and a bit? Yeah, a year and a bit ago, we sat in front of QuickBooks conference QuickBooks Connect, and it was mention after mention after mention of all these great innovations for accountants, right? Like, we had the payroll bureau, we had the practice management solution, we had this, we had that. All these little solutions were coming out, and yeah, they've been mixed response to those particular solutions and everything else. But the messaging was right. The messaging of, we want to help accountants, we want to get there first. And I know we're in a lull at the moment because everything is focused on AI, but that's because that's the big push, and that's going to be the big game changer, right? If everything we've heard's right and what we know and everything else, and the push for AI will be the big change, the big difference in the world of accountancy going forward. So we need to have that innovation going in there. Same, we can talk about later, but the same about Apple AI, Apple Intelligence. They stopped developing like cool solutions, and they had a lull because everything got pushed into Apple Intelligence. It's happening in all industries at the moment, isn't it? And I get the whole big picture and trying to push down to the AI, and that means that we're going to lose out on all those small wins. But most of those small wins, the idea is AI will come along and solve that small win for us anyway, and deliver it in a different way. And it is going to be. I think the lack of micro ambition is what was the kind of the main bit on it. I feel like, and I'm pretty confident saying this, that we've had more different innovations in the past X amount of time than we've ever had, right? Like we've just mentioned free agents' ability to be able to go in and mass update, amazing. You know, Apron's ability to use WhatsApp, amazing. Like we've had all these little wins, haven't we? You know, I'm amazed how straightforward something like Zama is, right? Like that's completely changed the game for how we deliver. You know, going through and delivering AML to our clients and getting those tests done. Right? I feel like, yes, we're in a bit of a lull at the moment because a lot of things are happening behind closed doors and stuff that we're not allowed to either talk about or even privy to, right? There's certain stuff, the zero world and everything else, like we're not involved in, right? So they could have the best thing since sliced bread being developed behind those walls, but they can't talk about it because it's a much bigger project that's going to take longer. They need to get it right throughout the door. So I feel like we're in a really good place. I feel like the innovations, like we've got some really clever people get involved in really clever projects at the moment. I mean, just look at client engagers innovation in the past X amount of time, right? Like how many times every week there's something new coming out, every month there's something to talk about on there. Like if that's not a example that we are innovating still, we've still got ways to go, there's still things there. I feel like the ambition is there. I feel like it's actually quite unfair to say there's no ambition, because I feel like, of course, there's ambition because there's a lot of money to be made in this space still, right? So the ambition's there, but yeah,
I think it is in the UK. I do question where the ambition is in Australia, the US, Canada, places like that. Like countries of that size with those populations, the fact that they're coming to like we get inquiries regularly for client engager. Will this work in this country? It's like,
yeah,
not really. I mean, yes and no, but sure. Why are you coming to the UK for a solution? Where's the solution? Where's the engager of America? Where's the engager of Canada? Whatever it is, like where's the Apron of Australia? Like there it seems to be a lack of micro ambition in those countries, and I do think the UK, I mean, we speak about this quite a lot, like with Clive over in Ireland and Tim and people, like they always look in on the UK, envious of what we have technology wise to deliver our work. But I do think people like the US, Canada, and Australia are also starting to look at the UK, getting envious of what we have in the way of technology. So yeah, maybe there is a lack of ambition and innovation in other countries. I do not think it stands up in the UK.
But is that down to, I know we criticize this so much, like HMRC made an absolute mare of it, right? But is it because we are that further on in terms of the digitalization of our tax system that we have the ability to be more like we take it for granted, but open banking is a huge aspect of it, right?
Oh, yeah.
We take it for granted that we have the ability to file our VAT returns, electronically with no fuss. Is that the reason that we're so far, ahead of the curve, because we have that, our clients are more digital than ever before, where especially America and Australia, that they're really, like, because there's no push from the government to be digitalized, there's that innovation that they're still dealing with checks, right? And those sort of older technology that causes us issues as accountants and bookkeepers to be able to deliver a service, because we've still got a lot of manual entry to keep on top of it. Is that not fair?
Yeah, no, I think it. And when I entered this space 7-8 years ago now, I was looking around at softwares. I always felt like Australia was up here, right? Australia was a leader of not just technology for the accounting and bookkeeping space, but also philosophy, like the way working styles, how to work with your clients, how to price your clients. There seemed to be a lot of thought leadership in Australia. Then there was the UK, and then there was America 25 years down that way, still printing checks and stuff. But I now look at it and I genuinely think, I don't know if it's because this is the box I'm in now, this is my own echo tunnel, whatever you want to call it. But I do think the UK now sits there with people in Australia envious of what the UK has, people in America and Canada and the rest of the world envious of what we have technology-wise. Now, whether MTD ITSA or MTD VAT or open banking's led to that, I don't know. I think open banking certainly helped.
Yeah.
And I think MTD has helped because it's forced more and more businesses onto accounting software, which new innovative products can plug into and pull the data from and you push data to. So I do think they've probably all helped. Open banking certainly more so than the others. But yeah, I think that hierarchy of Australia leading the way, followed by the UK, followed by America, I do think the UK has now overtaken Australia in that innovation space. And I think Australia are now looking at the UK going, there's some cool stuff over there. So yeah, I think it has changed in the recent years, but yeah, I don't think we are being underserved by technology. I think we're all frustrated and we'd love it all to be done quicker. And maybe we do have more talk and less action sometimes. And
yeah,
actually the big boys are worse culprits for it. They talk. I mean, QuickBooks has been talking AI for a year now, and they've still not got anything even in beta in the UK. Xero have been talking AI for what, 6 months? Now we're due beta this month. I believe that was what they promised at XeroCon. So yeah,
just to clarify, we won't need accountants from this month. Is that what we're saying? Jax is here.
To Xero. Jax is here. It's all right. But I do like. I think the big boys who get all the headlines talk more than they do take action. I think as I've said before, what we need to do is do more like what Sage or SIF Analytics have done, and never mind the PR stunts, never mind the press releases and the marketing of what we're looking at doing. Let's build it and get it out there. Like Sage announced AI and had betas publicly available. SIF Analytics, I logged in to find the product. The AI product was there before they announced it. Like that, if more softwares did that, I think the frustration with accounting softwares would be lessened, because we're not all sat there watching our clocks waiting for this product to turn up, because it just turns up when they announce it. So
but
maybe
my only counter to that though is, and you'll know more than I do, being in with your background with engagement and everything else, but building a whole new platform has to be a longer run time than just bolting onto another one, right? Yeah. So
definitely. Then why do we announce it 12 months before anything happens?
Because they need to be involved in the conversation, don't they? Otherwise, it's they're not involved. Because I get the frustrations, and I 100% I don't get waiting, but we're doing exactly the same with Apple. We know that the end goal is going to be brilliant and amazing, and Apple Intelligence is going to be better than anything else out there, but they built it from the ground up. So the fact that we've heard about it and now we've got to wait, and there's even question marks, is the UK even going to get some of the features, and all that sort of stuff coming now? But I truly believe this is one thing worth waiting for, and how impatient I am for things, but I think AI, if done properly and done right, is worth the time to wait, because otherwise, if you have to be involved in the conversation, but also if you don't wait and you release it and we release a dud, it'll just, we're never going to recover from it, right? As an industry, like if all this promise and all this things there, and it just becomes, and it comes out giving out duff information and it doesn't work, or worst case, it leaks all your information to a competitor or something daft like that. Those are sort of things that has to nail right. And I just feel like something as fundamental as AI, I feel like it needs to release with a bang. Otherwise, people are just going to say, "Oh, that's just another fad," and we're not going to get involved. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like
I just think we've got two camps here, right?
Yeah,
we've got the SIF and the Sages, who have released it with a bang.
Yeah,
at the time they had the product ready.
Yeah, agreed.
People that have been talking about it the longest still haven't delivered anything. Like if SIF Analytics hadn't delivered something, and they've just been talking for a year, they'd be in the same kind. Like they'd be frustrating me. But we see it time and time again with the smaller businesses that actually you can deliver a fantastic product and push it. You don't have to spend months of employing case study and copywriters and marketing people talking about a product that's, at the moment, we've got no public ETA.
Agreed. But the counter to that is Pixie.
And again, they announced something and then without any products
in their business, by the sounds of it. You know what I mean? Like if not done right, that's what I'm trying to say. Like if you don't release something that done right, I get like hats off to Sage.
I would argue QuickBooks has done the same. So Pixie announced May last year, Pixie 2.0. It's going to have all this AI technology.
Yeah.
To be fair to Pixie, they gave us an ETA. September. It will come out live. It didn't deliver. And it sounds like it caused them a huge issue. QuickBooks have done the same. They've announced this huge thing. They've just been clever and not given an ETA.
Yeah, but why would you give an ETA? No, Apple haven't given us an ETA. We don't know when Apple.
It's in beta in the US though. Like we see all the content around it. I mean, technically it's in beta in the UK. I've got it because I've re-engineered my phone. But we're not seeing any content, any insights from QuickBooks in the US where the product is allegedly in beta.
Yeah.
So instead of talking about what could be happening, show us what's actually happening in the US. Show us the live examples in the beta. Instead of asking us what our favorite emojis are on Instagram, like give us quality content. That's why Apple does so well, isn't it?
I would argue I don't think the AI team are like the one asking for emojis. Like I feel like there's a different team there that's talking
about that team. Instead of asking us what our favorite emojis are, they should be, and why are they asking about emojis? The only software that really implements emojis properly is Engager. Anyway, instead of telling us about emojis, show us the insights of what's being beta tested in America going, this is coming to the UK. Here's a genuine use case. Like that's why Apple's got so much excitement and product behind it, is because there's people talking about it.
Yeah.
Both in Apple and outside of Apple.
But even some of the cool stuff in Apple can't be talked about because of the 3 little words of NDA, right? Like 3 little letters. Like, unfortunately, it's the world we live in is NDA this, NDA that, and NDA everything else, right? Like that. I feel like that's the excitement's happening behind the NDA walls, right? And that's what's
that's no use to the rest of us.
But it could be said about Free Agent, right? Like they didn't tell us that this thing was coming. They just released it and a great release to it. But that excitement was still there, right? We could have been excited about this a lot earlier. But for the right reasons, they chose to put an NDA behind it because, they didn't want to, promise and not deliver and everything else. So they made sure it was right and then they delivered it. And I feel like
so it's the opposite of what QuickBooks have done. But
there is there's definitely NDAs involved at QuickBooks, right? About Intuit Assist. Yeah,
including the amount of sheets of paper.
Especially Intuit Assist, right? That is NDA to the hilt. Otherwise, people would be talking about it, yeah.
But their marketing team have talked about it. They announced it on stage at it's not like Free Agent turned around and said, we're going to do something in a year's time, but no one can talk about it from this point onwards. They literally came out and said, here's a new product. Here's a new feature. QuickBooks openly spoke about it at an event, several events over a roadshow, and then their bigger event in London. And then we've had radio silence. I don't agree with the way they've done that.
Yeah,
they've tried to capture the hype, the market, and not delivered. Whereas Sage, they did big events, like events at the Shard, big events over in America with their CTO and the CFO and everyone going, this is what we're doing. And then they delivered it. Like the beta went public straight away. that's my issue with the lag between the check us out, between the fireworks going off and the actual visual result is too big for QuickBooks or anything else that's hyping about it. Like,
but the counter to that was how Xero dealt with it, right? Like Xero, everyone's talking about AI. Let's talk about AI. Oh, let's bring this in. Got the messaging completely wrong.
XeroCon.
But
if Xero didn't,
if they weren't involved in the conversation
until XeroCon, and then assuming they do release in August,
the XeroCon was even more damaging because the technology was shocking,
poorly executed.
Yeah. I mean, even in that controlled environment, right?
Yeah,
and that's a controlled environment. That's them putting their best foot forward with it, and it was still causing negative PR around it. But I don't know. I completely get the frustration and everything else, but I feel like this is that one point where you just got to go. If they don't get this right, it ain't gonna. It'll just fizzle out, right? It's got to release with a boom because they've had this technology before. We've had this. What was it? QuickBooks.
We had a false boom a year ago from QuickBooks. Like,
remember
delivered.
Yeah, remember that QuickBooks? I forget what it was called. Like QuickBooks Assistant.
I thought they learned their lesson from QuickBooks Banking when they announced it, and then realized, oh crap, we can't actually do this.
Yeah, exactly.
They've not learned.
But that QuickBooks Assistant, that AI thing, has been there for a while, where you could ask it, "What's my profit and loss?" Blah blah blah, and it just fizzled out because no one was using it. There was no proper use case for it. They've got to get this right. The launch is so important for this technology, and I feel like to get that launch right,
they shouldn't have launched it or started talking about it a year ago.
They've just talked about it. They've just talked about it. That's all they've done. Same with lots of technology out there. They've just talked about it. They've not launched anything. And that's the point. It's a cycle, isn't it? It's let's talk about it. GTA 6 has been talked about. You can't play it yet, but everyone knows that that's going to be the biggest game that's ever happened in the history of the world, right?
So what's the acceptable lag between talking about it and delivering it?
Well, GTA 6 is going to be 2 and a bit years, isn't it? And that's going to break every record that's ever happened in the gaming industry. So if you can have 2 and a bit years for a game that's been in development for 5 years, 6 years, I feel like giving them a year, 2 year is fine. Like,
yeah, but then everyone else is overtaking. So you announce a product.
You're not telling me that Jax is overtaken. Jax is not overtaking anything. Jax is
like, it was all rumors and speculation. Like, even people at Apple did not talk about Apple Intelligence until a month or 2 before the event, and all they said there was, "We're not worried about AI." That's all they said. We're not worried. And then at their big event in June, they announced it. We are now. We were at the end of July, a month and a half late, 6 weeks after it, and the first beta went out, which was so open that anyone that wanted to create a developer account and link, like, that's publicly available, being tested by those outside of Apple's control.
It's not a public beta at the moment, it's a developer beta, but yeah, it's still a developer beta though. Yeah, you can get access to it, but it isn't a public beta. Yeah, you are right. No, but that's not
developer, but it's open to the general public to, if they like, it's outside of the control of Apple.
Yeah, 100%.
So that was a 6 week lag. Apple didn't brag about anything until, and even beforehand, they were just saying, "We're not worried." And it was all speculations. It was all rumors and stuff. They make their announcement. 6 weeks later, we've got a product in a more public domain to be seen. It's not been a year since they announced it. But the only reason we're looking forward to it so much is because we've been hearing so many rumors. It's never come from Apple themselves.
Yeah,
they've had complete control of it.
But the whole release won't be for another year plus, right? Like, because that's how it's gonna. That's how long it's gonna take for this solution to come out.
Ash's got a good point here in the comments. Talking about it helps the share prices.
Do we think exactly.
Is that why QuickBooks felt they needed to talk about it to get the share prices up?
You're right, and that's what they've got to do that, right? That's part of their stakeholders, shareholders, us, consumers, customers, partners.
We get fed up with them talking about it and not delivering it. Sage spoke about it and then delivered. Like, that was for that. Not only did they talk about it, they delivered for their share prices.
Okay, but you've not played with the Sage one, right?
No. I've not physically pressed the buttons, but I have seen on a screen share with someone else who's got it how it's working and stuff. So it's definitely out there in the world. Like,
but it's not readily available for us to play with, and rightly so, because it's not ready yet.
Public beta, you can sign up for it. It has been since May.
Show me on screen now. It's not available.
I don't have the Sage portal. I don't have the Sage.
The right thing for Sage to do is pick and choose who gets to see it at this point, right? The people who they know will treat it with, not do the right things.
You want to sign up to?
I've signed up for it, but they've not given me access because I'm not the right demographic for them at the moment, because I'm not the right person who could properly test it. Yeah, except that's true. But you know what I mean? Like, they need to control that message at this point in time. They've got to do that, and that's the right thing to do at this point in time. Because if they just released it publicly
to a product they can control the message of.
Yeah, exactly.
If Jax goes live this month, they've still got a product they can control the message of.
Okay,
and you can start getting the insights on.
But if you think that Intuit Assist isn't available to accountants at this point, it is. But obviously,
in America, but where's the insight to it? Where's the excitement to it?
Yeah, because it's NDA'd to the hilt.
And it's not a public beta then, is it? If it's NDA'd, then I'd class it still as an alpha.
It's definitely not a public beta, but not. Yeah, but I don't know what is a public beta. Yeah, but then a year's worth of wait for technology like this, right?
Anything that's a public beta, in my opinion, is able to be spoken about freely in the public without control from.
Yeah, 100. And this isn't that 100%, but this is it's still there, right? It's still in the domain. It's just not a public beta. But the Apple one isn't a public beta at the moment. It's a developer beta, right? Like, we're not
the NDAs. Yeah, so I would class it as public because no one's restricted from talking about
it. It's not. It's a developer beta. If you read your developer thing, you're not allowed to talk about it in certain ways.
Content to be created on it.
Are you sure? Have you read fully the developer?
Yeah. There's no NDAs on it. That's why YouTube's filling up with it, because it's developer beta, but it's publicly available to be spoken about without any NDAs.
Okay. And you sure that these creators haven't fully read their developer contract properly and said, well, I talk about this one, but I'm not allowed to talk about that?
No, Apple wouldn't put it out there if they were. They were like, look at the rumors and stuff that they try and the leaks they try to quash on a daily basis. Like, they know as soon as it goes into developer beta, there's going to be a YouTube full of it. So, yeah, there's no point in putting stuff in there which you can't enforce. Yeah. Anyway, it is 25 to 10. We need to go move on and do our normal work lives, things to do. I think it's going to be an argument you and I are going to have many a time, is that what I believe is the right way to execute a development and a release, and the wrong way, and who sits on which side of that shelf, in my opinion. I think you're going to have very different opinions on that, and that's fine. That's what our audience come for. But thank you very much to everyone for sitting there and tolerating us two arguing amongst ourselves on a Monday morning. We do appreciate it. That was it, basically. I mean, that was the main headlines. The only other headline we had was Sage have announced a deepened partnership with Microsoft. So we shall see what that has in hand.
Good job we can't talk about that, because I'll probably get myself told off by Chris.
Yeah.
My tinfoil moment again.
Conspiracy theory central over there.
Microsoft has something called Copilot 2. I'll leave it at that.
Conspiracy corner over there with Mr. Patrick. If QuickBooks actually gone on and released Intuit Assist in the UK, you'd have less time to come up with conspiracy theories, because you'd be playing with their tool. But anyway,
I wouldn't need to.
Everyone that joined us this week. Next week, we will be back, and we will hopefully have some different topics, so we don't keep ranting and raving about the same thing. So thank you for Clive. Happy week ahead, lads. Yep. And Suzanne loved it, so that's good. Aaron, what have you got coming up this week?
Oh, quiet week, thankfully. Yeah. So I'm in the at home, the work office all week, just going to crack on, get some work done, get catched up. I'm so excited for it. I'm pumped. At the end of this week, I am confident that I'm going to be back on track again, which is what it's all about. What about you, Jan?
This week I am home all week. basically, yeah, lots of different conversations going on at the moment in Engager, with lots of excitement stuff to come forwards, all under NDA, naturally. But yeah,
how dare you have something under NDA?
lots and lots of stuff coming up. So I'm just continuing conversations and refining things like that. So yeah, busy week ahead.
Sounds like a fun week.
And then plenty of fringe shows in the evenings and weekend.
Oh, very jealous. Very jealous.
Love it. My favorite time of year. Cool. Okay. Well, thank you very much to all of our audience as always. Thank you for joining and arguing with me, Mr. Patrick. Always a pleasure. Never a chore. And we will see you all next week for the continuation of how you announce a product and don't mess it up.
Have a good week, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.